poet. She was live on WIS promoting National Poetry Month and the importance of the spoken word. Here's a short list of what she's been up to over the last 2 years, actually as the poet laureate for the city. We also want to expand her collaborations with the city. One of the things that we hope is to get her more involved in some of the city activities. I think she's a really valuable asset, and I think just being around her for the 8 months that I've been on this job, I realize how passionate she is about our city, how courageous she is in her poetry, and how those poems and things can really affect change in our city. So I'm really looking forward to expanding her partnerships with the city going forward.
Can you tell me a little bit about the commissioned poems?
Yeah, so like she did a thing for Stockland Education Television where they had a poetry out loud competition where she was commissioned to do a poem. She did some stuff for the Stockland Arts Commission as well. And so she also is a working poet, and so some of the things she does is commission poems. Yeah.
Do you know if there's anything she has coming up, like in the next couple months or so?
Well, yeah, we have a Sodi City Poetry Festival coming up soon. That's going to be happening this year. She's fundraising for that as well to be able to fund it. But it's going to be a weekend-long poetry festival for the city that she'll be heading up as well. I'll have to get back with the date. She has the date, but I'm not quite sure what that is yet. And she also is a teacher at Spring Valley, so she's also doing double duty. She's really a dynamic mode. She never stops. So yeah, like I said, I really look forward to expanding her opportunities to be more present and up front.
The big number I'm looking at is at 0.
Yeah. And Jennifer created these slides, and so I think that number is 0.
Yeah, I think so. National Poetry Month was last
April,
month.
correct?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think it'd be good to see if we can have her at least do something at a council meeting. Some sort of poem.
She's got a wonderful poem for the city that Scott's actually going to use on one of his urban canvases here coming up. So that'll be kind of our first collaboration with her going forward in the Streams project. And that poem is a beautiful rendition of what I think Columbia is, what Columbia feels like. And it would be really cool to have her maybe read that for a council meeting, one meeting. Fantastic.
That'll be nice.
So we're going to the second year of our Tech Theater program. We started this program last year, actually before I came aboard to One Columbia. But what we do is we take 12 to 15 students from our local high schools, and we train them in tech theater, stage, sound, lighting design. This program is really special. I really appreciate it because it allows access to sometimes kids that don't have access to these opportunities. This program is not just an arts program, but it's also a job creation program. These kids go through this program for 6 weeks. We give them a stipend, provide lunch, and they walk away with a resume. They can take this resume to any tech theater program in Columbia or outside of our state and apply for a job. These jobs are high paying, and they also don't require a college degree, which I think as we're looking at what the workforce looks like going forward in the future, that's really important. But these jobs have typically been, word of mouth jobs or who you know, and access is super important in the work I want to do. And so this program gives access to kids to these positions. We partner with C.A. Johnson where we house for the summer, and they go there for 3 days, and then they take a field trip each week to local venues around town, the township, CLA, Colonial Life Arena, the Cobra Center, Harbison Theater, to see what they learn in classroom in real life practice. And so it's really a cool program. Like I said, this is our second year of it. We get funding from CCCF and also the Arts Commission for this program. And so we've got it fully funded this year, which is nice. And
you said 215 students?
No, God, no. No, 15. 12 to 15.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was saying. How?
12 to 15, no.
What ages?
High school, so 9th to 12th grade, yeah. And this year we may have some kids that come back that did it last year to be a part of it. Those kids went off to college and may have studied tech theater, may not, but those kids will come back in this year and do hopefully a summer internship at local theater programs, theater venues around town.
How could kids apply?
Yeah, so we got an application on our website. Actually, we already have 10 applicants already, which is great. And we just opened it last week. So it was pretty popular. So I think a lot of the kids told their friends because, like I said, we give them a stipend. It's like a summer job. We provide lunch, and it's really a cool program to provide access to kids to job careers or job opportunities they may not know were job opportunities.
And last question
course.
on this. The program runs from when to when?
It's June. It starts in 2 weeks, and then it runs for 6 weeks. Yeah.
So June maybe too.
Yeah, it's like July,
Late
July.
July.
Yeah, late July. Yeah. Yep. Like I said, it's a really neat program to see, the kids kind of light up and be a part of opportunities they don't traditionally are a part of, which is really nice. Here are a couple of other programs that we have going on right now. Of course, you talked about Tech Theater and the Columbia Poet Laureate, but we also do some artist development workshops in partnership with the Arts Commission. This is called our Artist Incubator. It's also a 6-week program. We have 12 artists come in, and it's a weekly kind of a class to learn how to promote your art, how to sell your art, because we realize sometimes artists don't have the best. It's helpful to help artists understand that they are businesses and they need to make money with their art. So this Artist Incubator helps artists with some of that program, some of that development. We've also started doing some workshops and meetings at our space on Duke Avenue, which is really neat. This was kind of developed by a local artist group, and so they saw a need. We've had some classes around taxes and around how to write grants for artists, and so trying to empower artists to be able to, do things for themselves was something that we also want to be able to do and be a resource. And of course, the collective at the garage is something you all are very aware of. The space the city's leased us down in the corner of Assembly and Taylor is coming along. We opened up applications last week. 2 weeks ago, we closed them. We had, I think, 8 or 10 applications. And so we're going to get the applications to our panelists of judges to decide who gets those spaces. As we said, that space will be free of charge. We will charge a deposit for those artists, so they have some skin in the game. But the idea is for it to be a 1-year lease for those artists to be able to work on their art, work on their craft, and then roll out. And then we'll keep doing that over and over again, ideally. One of the things that the mayor and I talked about when I first started was the lack of space for artists to work in the city. Of course, this is a small space, but it's a start. And I think as long as we're moving forward, we're doing things the right way. So we're really appreciative of the city's belief in us to be able to curate the space. One of the things we're going to have the artists do as well is teach a class in that space. There's a little room out front. So we're going to offer free classes for art, drawing or painting or whatever in that space as well. So we hope it can be a really good collaborative community space and also kind of transform that corner of downtown. Oliver Gospel Mission is across the street. And homelessness is something that I also really care about deeply. And I've been thinking about ways to kind of partner with them to figure out a way where we can do some sort of art project around that as well, which I think can be really cool. The thing I'm really finding out is that there are people doing amazing stuff in the city, and the more we can collaborate and work together, we can really move things in a right direction. Any other questions around any of these programs? Yeah. And so public art, which I'm learning more about thanks to Pamela, but I am going to turn this part of the presentation on to Pamela Judge, like our public art administrator, who was also hired through a grant that we received from the Knight Foundation.
How do I go back and forth on this?
I've just been doing it right here.
Okay. If you haven't seen this piece yet, you probably have seen the outside of it. This is on the Standard building, the newest student housing building that's completed downtown. On the outside, you may have seen the mural, but on the inside, there's another section, and that is in the courtyard area with the library. They've totally redesigned that area. If you haven't been down there, it's beautiful. So I thought I'd give you a little alternative view. Since we've been here last year, we've completed 4 public art projects, and 2 of them have just been completed this week. So we were out on site with one of them yesterday. I'll show you some pictures of the Avista Dandelions and the Benton Crossing installation. But we also wanted to say that from the Knight Foundation grant, we've been able to hire a public art intern and a public artist in residence. So the public artist in residence has a space in the garage studio space. There's a separate little office area in there, and she's going to occupy that, or she is currently actually moved a lot of stuff in. She gets a stipend for the year, and then she also gets a amount at the end of the year to realize a public art project. This is a program that is specifically for working with underserved communities. So she's identified a community within Columbia that she wants to work with, and that's mental health. And so her project at the end of the year will be an expression of that work. Our public art intern last year, when we came and did our report, we talked about how we had a new catalog, an internal database for all of our public art. And so the public art intern now is going around and doing maintenance checks on all the pieces in the collection. There are pieces that are owned by the city, but then there are other pieces around town that aren't necessarily owned by the city, and they may be privately owned that don't get eyes on them that often to say like, hey, this needs to be cleaned, or, like something might be a little loose. So that's what she is currently working on. And then at the bottom, the collection checks and repairs as we go along. We've been doing some repairs. One of the
crossing.
Yes.
You said there's a
Gonna show
new.
it to us.
Yeah.
She's gonna show it.
So that's the artwork that is at Benton Crossing. It's actually a wall sculpture. Those circles are metal attached to it. So sometimes when developers have the first floor parking, they're required to do an aesthetic treatment on a building. And this is the parking. You can see there's some areas, it's not completed yet, but there are some areas in here. Is there a mouse up here? Yeah. If you can see like right here, like there's a section of the art, and then there's a section of kind of empty windows. Those are going to be green screens. So there'll be plants growing up in between those.
What street is that on? Is that
This is on River Drive.
River Drive?
Yeah.
So the art faces River Drive?
Yeah. So as you come up North Main, you turn off River Drive, and it's right there.
Is this one that just finished?
It finished yesterday.
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 'cause
Okay.
we.
Yeah, that's
I
why.
think it's done that way all the time. It hasn't
Right.
seen the art yet.
Yeah, they just finished it. They just put it up yesterday in the rain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excuse me. And remind me, I thought it was fascinating, the artist, when she was talking about how she came up with the artwork, and that it's maps of Cottown area.
Yeah, you can kind of see the squiggly lines, the smaller ones. These are actually all maps going back from when the three neighborhoods that touch this, Elmwood, Earlwood, and Cottontown, when they were all founded. These are the maps from then, the maps from now. There's some river mapping, and they're all just layered on top of each other. And so that's what the artwork is. And there'll be a plaque there. It's not there yet, but it'll be there. That kind of sort of explains some of that.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
How would a
Sorry.
developer know to work with you all to maybe accommodate that? Okay.
Yeah.
So our planning team, I know our director is here, Mr. Hampton, is, I guess, making developers aware of opportunities to.
Yeah. And then they'll get in touch with us if they want to work with us.
And what's the process of y'all selecting our artists for this work?
Yeah, so we'll do it a couple different ways. The way that we do it most often is open call. So that's what we did for this project. We work with the communities, have a few meetings, do a few surveys to see get some keywords from them, some ideas and themes that they'd like to see in the artwork. And then we put that together in a request for qualifications, and that goes out to different public art clearinghouse kind of websites. And so then we post it through one of those websites. Artists can apply. Now this is just for their qualifications. This is just their portfolios. Those get narrowed down to 3 artists, and then those artists are asked to come up with a proposal, and they get paid for that proposal. If we do it any differently, like we did for the Vista Dandelions, and I'll show you this one. This one was commissioned by the Vista. This one also went up on Friday. This is at the corner of Pulaski and Green, right as soon as you come down off of the bridge. This is actually obviously facing the other way. This is facing towards Assembly, but So when you come down off the bridge, you kind of see this little field of dandelions. Now this one, because the time period was very short, last year we did a artist roster. So any artist from internationally who wanted to be on our roster could apply. Then we had a selection committee go through. We decided who was going to be on our roster. And once an artist is on our roster, they can stay on our roster forever. But I took sculpture artists who have worked in this the size and scale that they wanted, that also worked it within that budget. And we came up with 10 artists, and then they narrowed it down from there. But that's part of the reason why we have the roster, to be able to do quicker turnaround projects or directly commission things when that's appropriate.
And you've been the public arts administrator with One Columbia for how long now?
Just a little over a year. Yeah.
And where were you before?
I was in Central Florida doing independent consulting and near the Orlando area. And then I was also with a city in Florida called Ocala as their public art administrator.
Somewhat off topic, but
My cousin worked there.
how do do you think the city, we have good, I guess, opportunities for public art with new developments that come in by the requirements that you just mentioned, like the one at Bedford Crossing?
I think our planning department does a great job of letting people know, one, if they're required to, but letting people know that they can collaborate with us. As a whole, other cities who have really robust public art programs will have developer requirements for public art. They would be required to put so much money of their budget towards a public art piece. If it was then not, somehow didn't fit for whatever reason, and the small chance that money would go back to a public art fund to do future public art projects. Right now, the only public art projects that One Columbia does are ones that people approach us about. We don't have any money in our budget to do public art projects. So they're only ones that are commissioned, either through the private developers or like this one was commissioned by the Vista Guild.
Do you know of any comparable sized cities just offhand that have some of those requirements, just from my own?
No, but I have a list of them that I can send you.
Thanks.
Yeah, and there are plenty across the United States, yeah. And then if you haven't seen this one yet, this one's been up since December last fall. This is on Trust Us Theater. This is a mural. They had been wanting to do a mural there for a long time. And this is the Vista Neighborhood Association, so another group that is working on neighborhood beautification. There's actually a third panel to this that's around the corner, but it looks like I left that one off.
Yeah, we know a number of pictures.
Yeah.
The dandelions, you said that was commissioned by Vista Guild?
Yeah. And they're actually, as a neighborhood right now, working on a public art plan that just selects locations for their future public art projects instead of having to go every time and try to decide on a new location, which is great for any of the other neighborhoods to think about that kind of plan. Helps with the forward thinking part.
Yeah.
And then I just put the gong on here too, because don't know if everybody had heard that the gong was actually stolen out of the gong at the beginning of the year. And Clark Ellefson, who is local and fantastic, Green Eyes, is the robot head out in front of, on Assembly right in front of, or not Assembly, Hugie, in front of Stormwater Studios. That's his piece. He does all the robot heads. But he completely refurbished it, did all new powder coating. The mechanism wasn't working to ring the gong when it was stolen, so it was kind of not fortuitous, but in a way that we got the gong replaced. So.
What part of the gong was stolen? Like
The actual round part of the
Big old
gong.
the big thing was stolen?
I'm sorry, what?
The whole
gong.
big
Uh-huh,
gong was
yeah.
stolen?
They had to have bolt cutters or something to get it off the cables. I can't figure out how else they would have got it down.
Yeah, definitely
Was
planned.
that covered?
So this, Everything that the city owns, I guess I've been working with folks in the permitting department. We're trying to work this through. Is owned by this city being self-insured, or is insured by the city being self-insured. A lot of cities will carry an inland marine insurance policy because public art is, other than the murals, is technically portable. So that's something that could be considered. The money for the maintenance actually comes from every piece of public art that is done has to have a 20% of the artist's fee, 20% of that set aside for maintenance in the future. So we don't have broken art sitting all around the city. And so, but this one actually came from a donation from a business owner in the Vista. They gave the Vista $5,000 to refurbish it.
Did we ever catch the gong thief? No?
No.
We need restitution on that. That's some nerve to steal from public art.
Yeah. Well, the other day I got a text message that somebody went and put. There's a piece by Eileen Blythe, another local artist. She has her studio at Stormwater Studios, and they put. She has a piece out in front of the McDonald's on Elmwood, and they put traffic cones all over it. So I was just hoping that was a last weekend in town kind of thought.
Yeah.
But
But in general, we don't have problems with folks vandalizing or messing with that.
no, we don't have I have not seen any vandalism directly to.
We shall not. We will not see it.
That's right, we are.
I need to do something with
We-
the trestle bill.
We do a lot of planning for that when we're putting it in to make sure it's something that's a little bit vandalism proof. All the artists have to use an anti-vandalism coating so that it can just be wiped off if that ever happens.
What happens when a new owner comes in, buys something and wants to paint over the public art that was previously
And then
there?
we got into
It depends on if there's a property owner agreement, which there should be. But the property owner gets, if it's private, the property owner says what goes. So they can paint, if they had something they could paint over. That's happened a couple times in the Vista, or not in the Vista, in 5 Points.
I think it happened recently on Gervais. There's a property, there's a
so it
mural,
may be time to bring
and the
that
white, the building's now white. It was one
Oh,
of,
okay.
stamp
I
on that.
don't know how to pronounce her name, one of her murals. I think that's been painted over in the last week or two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it when you said her Ija Charles?
That's right, Aisha Charles.
Yeah, she has a couple of them.
It was painted over. And I guess with the database y'all have, if something like that happens, y'all would update it so we know it's no longer, I guess, there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we do that's another reason why we do the collection checks once a year.
Unintentionally painted?
No, I think it was intentionally. It was somebody bought the building and painted over
I
it,
see.
the whole mural
Which one?
Yeah.
on Gervais. So if you're driving up Gervais, coming from 5 Points, before you get to Washington Street, Hampton Street,
That one was painted over?
yeah.
That's why it's always important to have a good property owner agreement when you either place a public artwork or you do a mural that outlines how long they say that they'll keep it up, what will happen with the sale of the building.
Thank you.
As you can tell, Pamela is very adept at public art. She's taught me so much over the last 8 months. It's been really, really helpful. And so we look forward to working more closely with the city on some of these public art projects going forward as well. And again, I just want to say thank you to the city. Like I said, we've been very well supported at One Clemens since I've started. And we look forward to working closely with the city going forward and whatever we can do to be supportive of what you're all doing here.
Thank you, Mr. Blake.
Thank you.
Any questions for anybody else? Can we have this PowerPoint added to, like, the attachments for this? Thanks.
Thank you both.
All right, that concludes our brief meeting. Anything, Councilwoman Herbert, for the good of the work?
No.
All right, we can adjourn. Thanks.
Thank you.